The views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily the views of ECTV News, the City of East Chicago, nor this broadcast station or website. ECTV airs public meetings as a service to the community it serves. Speakers at public meetings, broadcast, or posted by ECTV News are solely responsible for their comments. ECTV News reserves the right to edit or remove any profanity or abusive language or behavior deemed inappropriate for our viewing audience. If you have any comments or suggestions about this program, contact ECTV News at 219-391-8206.
I'm going to call to order the regular scheduled council meeting for Monday, July 10th, 2017. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Present.
Walker.
Present.
Vasquez. Garcia.
Present.
Orange.
Here.
Medina.
Present.
Monroe.
Present.
Franciski.
Present. For the record, Councilwoman Vasquez is under the weather this evening. We will hear the minutes for the last month's meeting at next meeting. Do we have any communications from the mayor's office? Any communications from the mayor?
No.
Any communications from department heads?
Yes. Accounts payable warrant 062817CC.
So moved. Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilwoman Maldonado, to accept accounts payable warrant 062817CC. Have any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Vasquez. Garcia.
No.
Medina. Monroe.
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Got Councilwoman Orange.
Orange.
Yes.
Accounts payable warrant 070517CC.
So moved. Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilwoman Walker, to accept accounts payable warrant 070517CC. Have any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Orange.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Accounts payable warrant 071017LA.
So moved. Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Walker, seconded by Councilwoman Orange, to accept accounts payable warrant 071017LA. Have any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Garcia.
No.
Orange.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Accounts payable warrant 071017CC.
So moved, Mr. President. Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Maldonado, seconded by Councilwoman Walker, to accept accounts payable warrant 071017CC. Any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
No.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Payroll warrant monthly 063017.
So moved.
Mr. President.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Maldonado, to accept payroll warrant monthly 063017. Any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Payroll warrant biweekly 063017.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilwoman Maldonado, to accept payroll warrant biweekly 063017. Have any questions on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Moving on to committee reports. Councilman Garcia.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we pass tax abatements for Tri-B, BP, and ArcelorMittal.
I'll second. Motion was made by Councilman Garcia.
Steve?
Good evening, Council. Steve Dalton, Financial Advisor with Sender & Company. You have copies in front of you of the 3 documents that have been submitted by the companies. The documents are specifically entitled CF1s. They're compliance documents that are submitted every year by 3 companies that you previously granted tax abatements on a sliding scale. Were you to approve on this motion this evening, then President Franciski would sign this document, and it would be attested by the clerk and sent to the county auditor so that they could apply the abatements to the property tax bills in 2018. So we're looking at abatements that will affect the tax bills in 2018. The 3 companies are Tredebi, and you have their CF1 in front of you. BP, which is the large abatement that we've been looking at each year, and ArcelorMittal. I apologize, you did not have a spreadsheet for ArcelorMittal. You only have their CF1. I just came into a copy today. I have confirmed that in each of the CF1s that are submitted, according to their submission, they have the requisite number of employees they committed to on their SB1, which is the form they supplied you at the beginning, and they have made the investments that they committed to. So they are in compliance unless one of you determines that you want to do a further investigatory work on the details that they submitted on their compliance forms. Therefore, the committee which met today, Chairman Garcia, recommends that you grant all 3 abatements for 2018.
Councilwoman Orange.
Steve, for BP, is that the one continuing that we had from before? And
It
when
is.
does it end?
We just completed this will be the 4th year, so there's 6 more. It's a 10-year abatement. I'll tell you this about the BP abatement. We talk about it a lot because you'll recall, Councilman Orange, that we had the big year a couple years ago where we were worried about a $5 million hit to our general fund. We've been tracking. There was that oddity where because of the sheer size of that project, we were beginning to gain assessed value during construction, and then the very first year of abatement, we lost all of that assessed value, $5 billion of assessed value, which is a tremendous amount of money. We were worried at that time that we would lose up to $5 million in the general fund alone, and our tax collections that year were a little bit better than our estimates, so we did not have that catastrophic event cause our budget to be missing $5 million. We've been tracking it, though, and each year we've been getting positive news. As the abatement steps down, we grow our assessed value, where that specific parcel, the BP parcel, is the largest parcel in Lake County. And so it's actually giving positive assessed value growth to all the municipalities in the county, and especially us, especially Chicago. And we do a projection each year. I think we probably do it because you've asked me to for the Finance Committee, but we looked at it during our committee meeting today, and another $785,000 or $738,000 will flow to the general fund just because of the abatement stepping down again in 2018. I'll caution you, there's an end in sight. They do plateau. The personal property in the state of Indiana depreciates, and we've kind of found that spot where as they depreciate and the abatement rolls off, that we hit a happy medium, and we're not going to see a lot of additional dollars flowing. We'll see a lot of money getting paid by BP, but not a lot of new money. It'll be about the same level for the next 4 or 5 years.
Thank you.
Any other questions? It was a motion by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Medina, to pass the tax abatement for the three companies, which is Tretabee, BP, and ArcelorMittal. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. The board reports will be read at the next meeting. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances on first reading?
Yes, ordinance 17-0015, sponsor Mayor Anthony Copeland, appropriation ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilwoman Walker, to hear ordinance 17-0015. Was that on first or second reading, Councilwoman? First. On first reading. Any discussion on the motion? Councilman Garcia?
Is anybody here to talk about this?
Good afternoon, Marino Solorio, Planning and Economic Development Director. I am aware of this ordinance number, so I'm ready to talk. Basically what this project is, it's called Cypra's Rain Garden. For those of you who recall Janet Cypra, who worked on our grants for a couple of years, many of years actually. This is kind of like an homage to her. This is one of the last grants she worked on that we received in 2014. The money was allocated for the lakefront redevelopment for a rain garden. And for those of you who don't know what that is exactly, well, the point of a rain garden is to try to mitigate water infiltration from going into our sanitary stormwater, and plants and the natural system kind of works its way and collects the water before it gets to our system, and we don't have to pay to clean up that water, et cetera, et cetera. So it just kind of mitigates the amount of water going into, especially in low land areas. They're also good for like habitat restoration projects, things like that. So at the time this was going to be done at the lakefront, we found out that the grant kind of required certain types of plants that were really kind of not conducive to what we were trying to do at the lakefront in terms of aesthetically. So we moved the project. We were about to lose the grant, but I proposed that we could move the site to a more feasible location, which was Washington Park. So where the garden is the low-lying area at Washington Park that typically on the spring months you can't really walk through there because it's a lot of water. It's kind of standing water. So this will kind of help mitigate that. It would also let people understand what those are. And so the positive thing is that we are fulfilling that grant, so it helps us apply for more grants from the Lake Michigan Coastal Program, because had we just not done it, it could prevent us from getting any more grants from them. They do funding, not just rain gardens, they do green infrastructure, they do boat launch, things like that that are conducive to what we're trying to do in certain areas. So if you have any questions for me on what further that is, there will be some signage kind of explaining what rain gardens are, the positiveness of them, the type of plant species that are there, and a little bit about Janet Cypra.
Councilman Garcia?
Yes, thank you for coming today. I see they started working on that area at Washington Park. My only question is, can we just get a more detailed breakdown of what the project is instead of just listing other services and charges? Because it doesn't tell us what it's for, really. So if we could get a breakdown of the program and what's it paying for, what plants, whatever, it'd be better.
I can provide that to you through email. Do you guys all have emails, right? If not a physical copy of the grant application, I can give that to you.
Eliana, our secretary, she has our email. She has
Okay.
contact information.
Okay, I'll forward her that information. It's a good project, so I'll give you that. No problem.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome. And I just wanted to mention, there is an urgency to this, being that I was unaware that grants needed to come through the council for approval for appropriations and things like that. So again, like if you have stated, we have started on the project because the grant would have, had we not started, we needed to the end of June to be at least substantially completed. If not, we'd lose the funding. So this is a matching grant of 50%, 79,000. As you can see, I think it's 79,000.
72.
$72,940 is the matching portion. But this grant is reimbursable, so we have to put in the money first, and then once we finish paying, we get reimbursed. So time is of the essence if we want to, pay the vendor. And so I just would like to see if we could suspend the rules at all for that.
Councilman Medina?
The city's responsible for 72,000. Is that what you're?
Portion, yes. The total grant is around double that, so 140.
This is for the project that's currently being done at Washington Park?
Correct.
I cannot see $72,000 worth of progress there. I go through there at least 4 or 5 times a week. So I like Councilman Garcia, would like to see a breakdown of what exactly costs $72,940, because I do see it work, but it's hard for me to understand why it costs so much.
There is a design component that needs to be, so they need to design how that water infiltrates, etc. But the majority of the money went on the plantings. They were all actual plants and not seeds. So the seeds would have cost a lot less, but because they are in a greenhouse, they are actual plants, those tend to cost. And I do have a breakdown of all the plants that they put in there and the amounts and the total amount, but it was about 80% of that was the plants.
Okay, can we get
Yep.
that breakdown with the vendor's name as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Maldonado?
Is that information in the grant itself?
The grant itself kind of is open-ended. What it says is this is your budget amount for design and for installation and for any plants and any signage. So then what we did is we did an RFP, request for proposal, and we publicized it. There was one person or one company that came about of that RFP who had the qualifications. Cuban Gert was the company that did the project. So they're well-established greenhouse and nursery company. And from that, we did request a breakdown of what is design component, what is actual installation component, because there was some site work that needed to be done, removing some dirt, etc., and grading, and then the plants. And so I do have that fully broken down for the council for you to review if you'd like.
Can I get a copy of the grant, though?
I will give you the copy of the grant and the copy of the breakdown from their proposal.
Thank you.
Councilman Garcia?
When is the deadline that you won't get that grant no more?
Well, the deadline of the project should have been completed the end of June. but they don't do a walkthrough of the project itself until like probably mid-July. And that's when they'll, check to make sure everything was done appropriately for the grant. So we have a little time.
Well, I'm trying to go back. You said it should have been done, so by contract, it should have been done by the end of June? So are you out of compliance of the agreement then?
No, so it's been done. So all we're doing right now is just a punch list to make sure that the proper amount of plants were installed and that the grading was done appropriately, things like that. And so we did complete it on time. It's just that what I don't want is, invoices come in, payment, needs to be processed at a certain time, and I just want to make sure that the money's there. And again, I did not know that grants needed to come through the council for that very reason. I'm coming here to discuss, just kind of where that's at.
I understand that, Mario, but you have other people, other financial bosses behind you that know the process. They know what should have been done. And for us to speed up the process without having that information, the president can always call another meeting for us to pass it before then also. So.
And they did make me aware of that, and which is why I was like, it needs to come to this, to the council. And again, I was not informed that I needed to provide all that information. If not, I would have, because there's nothing to hide. And I'm more than willing to give you the information now, as soon as tomorrow, you would have it.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, roll call to adopt ordinance 17-0015 on first reading.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, any ordinances on second reading?
No.
Do we have any ordinances on third reading?
Yes. Ordinance 17-0011, sponsor Councilman Lenny Franciski. An ordinance establishing an infractional deferral fund for the East Chicago City Court.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Garcia, seconded by Councilman Monroe, to hear ordinance 17-0011 on third reading. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Madam Clerk, do we have any resolutions?
Yes. Resolution 17-0003, sponsor Councilman Lenny Franciski. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago adopting the City of East Chicago Title V1 Plan Non-Discrimination Agreement for the city.
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Orange, seconded by Councilwoman Maldonado. I believe we do have Mr. Morrisroe to speak on this resolution.
Richard Morrisroe, Assistant City Attorney. This is something that INDOT, the State Department of Transportation, has been pursuing the city, Will Allen and myself, for a couple of years now. We have an Americans with Disability Act plan. We did not have a Title VI plan, and only through correspondence with Indianapolis and with the Regional Plan Commission did I realize how important this was, and that there was a gap, and that we were being exposed to possibly losing transportation monies from the state. These are often federal monies that are filtered to East Chicago through the state of Indiana. And so we sent you all those pages, the 36, 38 page Title VI, the V1 is Title VI. They use the Roman numerals plan. And I'm here to answer any questions. I've sent you both a resolution and the plan, which is the principal document, and there are a couple of appendices to it, like a complaint form and some record keeping that we have to keep. They will probably be after us to give other details as time goes on, but what you have is the basic plan and the basic requirements that this program has for us. I believe there are similar requirements, for instance, from HUD for our housing funds and sanitary district from EPA. These are pretty standard federal requirements that go with the monies. They primarily go to the people who are supposed to receive the services, whether the curbs were cut the way they were supposed to be so that someone can access the sidewalk with a wheelchair, and similar kinds of things. The bus transit, that there be lifts for people to go on them, that they be accessible for bicycles, which we have in the front of the bus, and other requirements that go with this program.
You have any questions for Mr. Morris? Councilwoman Orange?
So does this resolution make us in compliance?
The resolution gets us on the road to compliance.
What will it take to get?
Because we'll have to do reporting. I was suggesting to Mr. Allegretti that this would be a great job for someone. He said, expand your back pocket. It's another one of yours. I mean, these are the kinds of requirements and reporting that the city has to do. I remember almost 40 years ago deciding to go to law school when the city was getting shellacked by the Department of Justice for not filing reports on our affirmative employment. The irony was that the city had all kinds of reports that broke down Mexican, Puerto Rican, whatever, and all the federal government was looking for African American, Hispanic. We had more information than we needed, but we weren't putting it in the right form that Uncle Sam would be pleased, and that's what we're doing now, similarly with Title VI.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, please.
Resolution 17-004, sponsored Councilwoman Myrna Maldonado. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago expressing opposition to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency approval of a disposal of PCBs at a facility within the City of East Chicago at 3500 Indianapolis Boulevard.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Maldonado, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Any discussion on the motion? Councilman Garcia?
Clerk, can you add my name to that also, please?
Councilwoman Maldonado?
Mr. President, we've had our appointment to the Waterway Management Board, Mr. Rodriguez, that has been very consistent in reporting to this council. I asked Fernando Torino, the Director of Waterway Management, to be here today, but he had a conflict in his schedule. So I'd ask Mr. Rodriguez to step forward if we have any questions for Mr. Rodriguez to answer. And let me just say that there are many groups that are opposing this. There's a community strategy group with a lot of, very many of our community leaders in the group. There's a meeting scheduled with the congressman as well for Saturday, July 15th, again in opposition of this. And we as a body, I'd ask my colleagues to support this resolution against it. Mr. Rodriguez, if anybody have any questions for Mr. Rodriguez.
Councilwoman Orange?
Yes, ma'am.
So that people would know where is the meeting going to be held.
But we have nothing to do with the meeting. I didn't know anything about it until
I will clarify that,
you
sorry.
mentioned it's not by us.
It is Saturday, July 15th, and it will be held at the Pastrick Library, and the time is 10 a.m.
I just got one question.
Councilman Garcia?
Did the board also pass a similar resolution also?
Hasn't been brought up yet, but the board has, in public comment, stated our position, which we did this year, which is we don't want it in the CDF, but we also want it dredged. So we can't tell them what to do, we can do like everybody else and say, this is what our comments are. This was also done in 2008 when the TASCA was brought up. I've got an email, a text email from Fernando Trevino to the Army Corps of Engineers also stating that we do not want the TASCA in the CDF, and that was 2008. It was also brought up at the Waterway Management meetings back in 2008, so it's not the first time this has been discussed. So our position is we don't want it in there. We want it dredged out of the canal. Now what the Army Corps of Engineers does with all this information. And this meeting Saturday, which I said I just found out about, I don't know what's going to go there. I might pop my head in there and see what's going on. But as far as the resolution, it hasn't come up yet. I don't know if we will. I don't know if we can.
Can you find out for me? 'Cause it'll be good if you guys as a board,
Well, we got a meeting next week. And I'll let the board know after that what's going to happen.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes. Madam Clerk, next resolution, please.
Resolution 17-0005, sponsor Councilwoman Myrna Maldonado. A resolution articulating the sense of the Common Council of the City of East Chicago regarding its opposition to the proposed budget reductions to the budget of the United States Environmental Protection Agency and the impact on the Great Lakes Restorative Initiative.
So moved, Mr. President.
Second, Mr. President.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Maldonado, seconded by Councilman Garcia. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Bauer, I'm sorry. Mr. Bauer, could you please give us a little bit of background as to why this is important?
Yes, Attorney Stephen Bauer for the council. Councilman Maldonado tendered me this draft, which was passed in Highland. Not to drag this out, but this is part of the fallout that we're receiving as to what's going on in D.C. with the dismantling of the EPA. And the best way to cut down bureaucracy or regulation or protection of the environment is to cut the funds. And this is what is going on. This is a public statement saying, please do not cut funding to the EPA that's going to result in the Great Lakes Initiative Restoration Program being cut down. We have also added one thing that's specific to East Chicago. In the whereas, for the City of East Chicago, attention and concern for environmental matters are of current concern, with the presence of lead and other toxic elements in our soil and water. My observation is it's logical, reasonable, and appropriate to make this type of public statement.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Orange,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Monroe,
Yes.
Franciski.
Yes, resolution passes. Moving on to old business. Councilman Garcia.
Yeah, just want to let everybody know that I had a discussion prior to our meeting with our attorney here, reference Executive Order 1612 is the bank sick days. Like I said, it's just not fair to the city employees to use 3 days when they only need 1 day. I asked them into looking into that issue of possible overturning that executive order if we can. Another thing is also is that we're never notified when an executive order is signed, and I think that's a disgrace that we're not even notified that he did sign one. and we should be notified of any executive orders that he does sign. I have him looking into that also.
Do we have any other old business? Moving on to new business. Councilman Garcia?
Yeah, for sure everybody knows that prompt service is not gonna be in Lake County anymore, so that's, another service that's not gonna be provided to our residents here. I was not for prompt coming in, I was not for our EMS to go away. But we have another issue coming up now. I don't know how the mayor plans to address this issue, but if you could include this council, I'm pretty sure we all appreciate it.
Any other new business? Moving on to public expression, if you could please keep your comments to 3 minutes. I believe we do have a couple this evening. The first one is Mr. Rudy Velasco.
Hello, Council. My name is Rudy Velasco. Real quick, I just want to say a couple of things real fast. Time's running real quick. But number one, I'm on the Mayor's Committees for Disabilities. We've been trying to get a chair for a swing for the kids that are in a wheelchair. This was voted down. And some of the reason, to me, I look at it, it was on the council's fault and on the city's fault. Because I looked at the tapes, no one asked any questions about this money, what it was appropriated for. And no one offered it either. So I'm asking you, it's going to come up again. Look and ask questions, please. Number two, if you read the paper the other day, Saturday, Indiana ranked worse in the U.S. for disabilities and senior citizens. I've been dealing with disabilities with people for over 20 years now. When you talk to city officials, a lot of government officials, they cancel your appointments, they lie to you, and they grander things. I was here a couple months ago asking for you guys for help for any senior citizens or disabled people about working with them with their water bill or their sewer system. 2 weeks later, you had a meeting, and one of these councilmen was in the paper saying, oh yeah, we're this all behind us. I checked, nothing's been done. So are you just gonna talk or are you gonna walk the walk? That's what I'm asking you to do. You can go ahead. If you want to be in the paper for politics, fine. I'll go ahead and politic too and let people know you didn't do anything. You're just talking. So I'm asking you to please do something to help these senior citizens that are disabled. There's like 1,000 people so far that I've checked with handicap stickers here there. So that's not a lot. You can do something to help these people. And as far as the PCBs, real quick, I worked in the mill. I've seen it. I've seen it where people have died. We had a trailer, because I was a pipe fitter, we're out there, they were dumping the water right by a trailer. 4 of those guys are dead of cancer. So you keep that in mind if you just want to have it right here and fight it all you can to not have it by our school. Thank you, and please let me know if you're going to do something about this water, lowering the bills for the senior citizens or the disabled, okay? Let's not just talk, let's do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Velasco. Next, we have Mr. Thomas Frank.
Hi, thank you. I'm Thomas Frank from 1616 East 142nd Street. I want to thank the council here for the resolution on the CDF, the opposition to the TSCA permit, the PCBs being placed next to our schools. And I also want to praise this council for its resolution on the EPA. Both are really positive steps moving forward. This is an old industrial city. We have lots of industrial legacies, and in addition to the present situation, which we're still grappling with, which shows why we awarded tax abatements to 3 of the most biggest and largest polluters in the Indiana's history. BP, ArcelorMittal, and Traby are huge polluters and could cause enormous damage to this city's health and welfare. So I really would like you to look more closely, especially at Traby. and what is going on there. But in terms of the CDF, I really want to also praise the Waterway Management District. They had received our comments as a public, and that was really positive. They've echoed those. We have common cause along with the council, the community strategy group, the community people in the community. This is a campaign that we lost about a decade and a half ago to try to stop the CDF, the Confined Disposal Facility, from being located there. And we ended up having to receive this dirty project. But what we're doing today is we're putting a line in the ground and saying we're not going to accept this toxic project. And I really want to praise you all for standing that line. And I think we're going to win this with common cause. It's a really good idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Last, we have Mrs. Elizabeth Palacio.
Hi, how are you? I'm Elizabeth Palacio. I live at 4124 White Avenue in East Chicago. I just wanted to say I live not far from the school. I wanted to also praise the council on the two last things that you did. We're fighting that. I live right by in that block. I find red blotches of dust on my car, and I just wanted to say that you should all see what the kids are playing on in the soccer field and the football field and anywhere around that. And thank you again for passing those things. But I wanted to say about if there are enforcements for picking up the dog excrement that the walkers they take their animals out. I've seen many in my area with no bags. This should be enforced. Also with the litter, I've seen kids go out in their car, just throw a can, a bottle. I live in this city for a long time, and anymore it's just getting really blatant, and somebody's got to stay after it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Palacio. Have a motion to adjourn, please.
So, second.
Motion was made by Councilman Medina, seconded by Councilman Monroe. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Maldonado.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Orange.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Monroe.
Yes.
Francisci.
Yes, meeting's adjourned. Good night.